Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunshine Coast Regional District regular board meeting of September 8th. We have an amended agenda, so I hope everybody's got that. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that we are within the territory of the Seychelles First Nations and thank people for coming. We actually have people in our gallery. So I'd look for a motion to adopt the amended agenda as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And I'd look for a motion to receive all the reports. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. So first up, we have the regular board meeting minutes of July 28th, 2022. Any errors or omissions in the minutes? Seeing none, I'd look for someone to move adoption. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes or unfinished business? All right, seeing none, we will move on to reports. Committee of the Whole recommendations, numbers 1 through 9 of July 28th, 2022. First, any of these that you'd like pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt the recommendations. Moved. Seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Then we're going to move to the additional portion that came to us. This is item 3A. These are the Committee of the Whole recommendations, numbers 3, 4, and 7 of this morning's meeting, pages 20A and 20B. Any that you'd like to consider separately? If not, I'd look for a motion to adopt. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Moving on to item 4. This is Annex C, pages 21 through 23. This is on the Water Systems Modeling Engineering Services Contract Award. And who will be speaking to this? GM Rosenboom.
It'll be me. Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek approval to execute a contract with GeoAdvice Engineering to update and prepare water models for all SRD water systems. Those models will be used to identify issues and potential opportunities for improvement to our water systems in support of the development of our water strategy and associated reports.
Thank you. Directors, any questions? I was going to call you council. That was last night. Directors, any questions of staff? Director McMahon.
Right. Well, I think we actually covered that off this morning somewhat. So I would be happy to move the recommendations on page, what the heck is it, 21?
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you. Moving on to item 5. This is Annex D, pages 24 through 26, Half Moon Bay Landfill License of Occupation Replacement. GM Rosenboom.
Thank you very much, Chair. The SRD is still responsible for the closed Half Moon Bay landfill, and our license of occupation with the province is expiring, and we're seeking board approval to apply for a renewal for our land tenure. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, questions, comments, or someone to move the recommendations? Director Pratt.
I'll move the recommendations, please.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Thank you. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Thank you very much. Moving on to item 6, Annex E, pages 27 and 28, Seychelles Landfill Engineering Services Contract Amendment. GM Rosenboom.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to seek board approval of our contract amendment with our contract with XCG Consulting, who is our landfill engineer. Staff have identified options or potential options to extend the life of the Seychelles landfill with up to 3 years by moving or finding an alternative location for our contact water pond. The contact water pond is currently located in an area that could be used for landfilling. And this study would allow us to explore alternative options for that to be relocated to somewhere else on the premises. And we expect that the cost can be absorbed within the current base budget, and otherwise we will report to that at the end of the year. The urgency or the need to do this work now is that this work is required to be completed prior to us actually initiating close stage H of the landfill, as well as any preparations for the closing of the landfill otherwise required by 2025. So thank you. Staff are more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Directors, any questions? Director McMahon.
I just wanted to say that I'm delighted. I think this is the best news we've had about the landfill in 4 years. So I am very happy to move the recommendations on page 27.
Thank you. And that's been seconded. All right, all those in favor? Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 7, landfill feasibility study contract amendment, general manager, infrastructure services and strategic planning coordinator, Annex F, pages 29 through 31. GM Rosenboom.
Thank you. Yesterday, staff executed a contract with Sperling Hansen Associate for the development of a feasibility study for the disposal option for landfill. And that contract was less than $100,000, so was not brought forward to the board. Staff are now seeking a contract amendment to that contract to allow for a second opinion to be completed on the landfill sites as identified last year by Tetra Tech. This is according to board direction to have that second opinion completed. So we're now seeking contract amendment to have Sperling Hansen do this work this fall and then report back to the board. Thank you. Staff are
you.
more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Directors, any questions? If not, there are recommendations on page 29. What would you like to do? Director Hilt.
Sure, Chair. I'll move the recommendations as presented on page 29.
Thank you. And seconded? Seconded. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 8. This is request for proposal award recommendation for electric vehicles. And this is the manager of utility services and utilities business coordinator, or GM Rosenbaum.
There is a reason why I'm in the boardroom today. The purpose of this report is to seek board approval for the purchase of 4 electric vehicles. Those purchase of those vehicles was approved as part of the 2020 and 2022 budget, and we're successful in getting bids on an RFP to purchase those vehicles. So 2 of those vehicles would be primarily used by the Strategic Initiative Division and the other 2 by the Utility Services Division. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, any questions or comments? Director McMahon?
I do have one, although it's probably out of scope for GM Rosenboom, but I did a little Googling on EVs, and the top-rated EV manufacturers in Canada are Nissan and Hyundai, but we keep only getting proposals from Ford and GM, and I was just wondering if there was a reason for that, or do we only reach out to businesses on the Sunshine Coast, or why would that be?
Thank you for the question. I can try to answer the question as far as I understand, and I think I know the answer. We do, as part of the purchasing process, we put out a request for proposal and propose it on BC Bid. So any company can bid on it. However, I agree with you, we primarily are getting proposals from brands that have a shop on the coast. And that's why, and there's a benefit for us in terms of if there's anything wrong with the vehicles, that we can just bring them to a local dealer. There's a benefit, but that's definitely not a criteria for us for selecting these vehicles.
All right, any other questions or comments? So there are some recommendations on page 32. Director Hiltz,
Sure, Chair, I'll move those recommendations.
there's seconder for the recommendations. Seconded, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, or Annex H. This is request for proposal, award recommendation, single axle dump truck. It's you again?
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek board approval for the purchase of single axle dump truck. The budget for the purchase of such dump truck was approved as part of last year's budget, and we're happy that we're able to get a bid in under within the earmarked price for that purchase. So staff are able to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. This is a totally off-topic question, but if this was approved in the budget, is it our process? It has to come back? And is that something we're looking at addressing?
Yes, it has to come back because it's over $100,000, and yes, that's something that is on the list to be addressed.
Perfect, thank you. All right, any other questions by directors? Director McMahon?
I would move the recommendations on page 35.
Thank you. And the seconder? Seconded. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, GM Rosenboom. I think you're done now, right? No? All right then. We'll move on to Annex I. Annex I is Community and Emergency Preparedness Fund Grant Application, Additional Resolution of Support. And Manager Trite, is this you speaking to this one?
Yes, I believe Jim Hall was going to, but he is not available unless Jim Perot wants to, but I can speak to it certainly.
I think it's over to you.
All for me? All right. So this is a grant application. We've run into a bit of a snag with precise wording that we've run into in the past. And so the recommendation is the report be accepted for information and that the SCRD supports and is willing to provide overall grant management for a regional application for the UBCM Emergency Preparedness Fund for the development of an extreme heat response plan for the Sunshine Coast Regional District. So the key being that this resolution clearly states that the SCRD will provide overall grant management, as this is a regional application which includes Town of Gibson's, Shishal Nation, and District of Sechelt.
So this is further to the recommendation we made before where we said, yes, go ahead and apply for this, but they're basically saying, we also need you to say you're going to do the overall management.
That's correct.
Perfect.
So it's the same grant, and yes, the board has already approved applying for the grant and requesting resolutions of support from the other jurisdictions.
Yes. Thank you. Directors, any questions? Director Hiltz.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just so the overall grant management is held within the current budget. That's essentially what you're telling us, that there's capacity to do it.
That's correct. The management of the grant it'll be similar to the other ones we've done, say the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, where it was a regional application, but the SCRD managed the grant.
All right, so there is a recommendation on page 38. Director Hilt?
Sure, I'll move that recommendation on page 38.
All right, and seconded. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 11, Annex J. This is pages 40 and 41. And this is our corporate officer talking about changing our meeting schedule for Q4. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So given the approaching election, staff are recommending that the meeting schedule be amended to ensure a smooth transition for a new board. And some of those changes have been outlined in the report for the board's consideration.
Thank you. And directors? Any comments? Director McMahon?
I haven't, sorry, I should have gone back and looked carefully through my meeting schedule, but if some urgent business arose that needed to be handled before the election and the swearing in, would we then have to schedule an emergency meeting?
No, the board meetings will still be held. Both board meetings are still available should we need to move forward business. And staff have already, we've reviewed the reports that are slotted for those agendas in October, and we feel confident moving that business. Most of it is going forward to the meeting on October 27th, which will be the last official meeting of this board.
All right, so there are some recommendations on page 40. What would you like to do? Director Kroll.
I'm quite happy to move the recommendations on page 44, the rescheduling and cancellation of appropriate meetings.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you very much. So I'd like a motion to receive the communications. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And item number 12, Annex K. This is a letter from Mayor Lisa Helps from Victoria and Mayor Michelle Staples from Duncan regarding a steering committee that they are co-chairs of, and it's the Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities Climate Leadership Plan, which Director McMahon actually sits on. I believe I sit on it too, but I have not gone to any meetings because I just recently got invited. So over to you for some explanation.
Oh, good. Manager Rosenboom doesn't have to do this one. So I have been sitting on this committee. Like many of the committees I sit on, I have to say that the primary advantage to me has been some of the contacts that I've made, particularly over at the University of Victoria. I am hoping to get a little more traction over there too with, they have students looking for research projects, and I'm like, oh, we can help you out. So, however, I do think that this committee is beneficial to the SCRD. I asked staff for some feedback on the value of this committee to the SCRD, and the response that I got from our sustainability department was that they could see that this was a worthwhile initiative. It raises the profile and creates shared understanding of the challenges and opportunities posed by the climate crisis. And the data and territorial analysis and survey data is helpful. The communities within AVICC do in fact make a logical group because we share a similar climatic zone, and we incorporate, I think, all the ferry-dependent communities in BC, which, you know, is a unique challenge. And so looking at the data that is being put together and using the academic resources that have been made available to us has been really helpful. The work so far has been rather Vancouver Island centric. That's just the way it falls out because most of them are on Vancouver Island and they can share a lot of things that we're not in a position to share, like transportation networks. Nonetheless, it's still very helpful to look for examples from other jurisdictions nearby. So we should belong to this initiative, in my opinion. And, oh yes, and also looking forward to the collaboration with the Community Energy Association. They've done a really good job to date. And I did attend their conference at UBC just a few months ago, which allowed me to interact with a lot of other local electeds from across BC, and it was very helpful, and some very interesting presentations at that. So all of this, frankly, is a great value for $5,600 as a bang for the buck. So the question to me is not really, should we fund this? The question, as usual, is how do we fund this? Which is the usual issue in the regional district model. Although we belong to other associations and groups, and we managed to fund that, so I think we can figure this out somehow. So I suppose the appropriate thing here would be to ask for a motion of support for this ongoing initiative.
Would you be looking for a motion of support, or are you actually looking for us to potentially come up somehow with the 5,600, even if it's in our next budget?
A motion of support and refer this budget item to the budget process, the 2023 budget process.
Thank you. All right. Questions, directors? Director Hilt?
Thanks, Chair. The funding options, it was talking about this, the grant that's available, and I might be able to use that as a source of revenue or funding. And in the news release, it talks about signing on to the BC Climate Action Charter. And so my question is, does the SCRD already sign on to that? Have we signed on to the BC Action Charter, and we're doing what's required? Do we know that?
That would be a staff question.
That would
most
be a
likely.
staff question. Okay,
Yes.
so that'll have to come back then.
So that could be referred to staff?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, directors? All right, so, sorry, no, so I'd like you to restate your motion and potentially add the piece about staff, and then we'll get a seconder. So you're looking for a letter of support, and that this be referred to the budget for 2023, and that your piece, Director Hills?
Verifying that the SCRD is part of the BC Climate Action Charter, which could give us a source of funding, as noted in the introduction letter.
Thank you. Okay, would you like to make that recommendation?
That's the motion I just made. Yes.
Perfect. Is there a seconder for the recommendation? Seconded, thank you. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you for all the work you do on that. I know you go to all those meetings and you report back to us, so thank you for what you do. Next item on our agenda in the correspondence, if I can get there. Hang on one second. This is item number 13, Annex L. This is a request for a letter of support from Peter Kvarnstrom, who is in the gallery here and willing to answer any questions we have on this. Directors, any questions or comments? Director Hiltz?
I didn't see the template in the package. The letter I was looking for it, and I actually, is it actually there? I didn't see it.
It wasn't included in our package here. Staff would like to help us with the wording on
Okay.
that, so we actually pulled that out. Okay. Director McMahon?
I don't know, we don't have a lot of staff presence, but I'm often baffled by what Recycle BC does, and I'm just wondering what on earth their justification is for the changes as proposed. Does anyone know, or are we just mystified as usual?
Thank you for the question. I think two things. I'm Not sure, this is the other side of the house from a Recycle BC perspective. We're providing this is how they collect their revenue. So SRD is not involved in that discussion, or I'm aware of how they are, what their approach and what their principles are for making these decisions. Thank you.
Director Howard?
Thank you. As I understand it, the request is that the board provide a letter of support to have the Coast Reporter exempted from the Extended Producer's Responsibility Program. And I don't understand what the implication of exemption is. I don't know if there are other aspects of that program that would otherwise be beneficial, whether to society at large or to the recycling program specifically, so I don't quite have a sense of the implications of an exemption from the EPR. I don't know if staff are able to answer that, or if members of present in the gallery are able to speak to these matters.
Okay, I mean, if I don't answer this correctly, please find a microphone and answer this. My understanding is, I mean, the Coast Reporter is coming here because they're our local newspaper, but newspapers are approaching all mayors and chairs across the province, right? It just happens to be ours here. So this is for the province. And previously, while they were required to provide funding, the EPR funding, some of it came from the newspapers. The majority of it actually came from the province on their behalf. And they are looking to actually be exempted so that there is no EPR charge to them. Ontario just changed that so that newspapers in Ontario do not pay EPR. Newspapers still will be collected, still will be, part of the whole process, but they will just not pay an EPR fee.
So thank you. Just a follow-up question. So this won't affect the extent to which waste newsprint is recovered. This will simply relate to the fee that they need to pay in.
Correct. And the concern is it's already very expensive for newspapers, that some newspapers, potentially this would put them out of business in small areas, and they don't want to see that happen. So they're looking for support from governments to make sure that they can actually stay in business. I mean, I think they provide an invaluable service. We really see the difference in small communities where the newspapers no longer exist. So the request is for a letter of support. Director McMahon and then Director Lee.
I also was basically going to say that our local newspaper is really important, and we've been very fortunate to have it and to have an excellent quality of reporting for the last few years. And so yeah, I could move a letter of support on this.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded. Thank you. Director Lee.
Yes, I'm a little confused because someone still has to pay for collecting the newspaper, the newsprint. Is this at the consumer level when I take it to the recycling station? I'll still be able to take it there free, but we as taxpayers subsidize the difference to get it to where it's recycled. Whereas extended producer responsibility, well, you actually get paid to bring it back. So someone's going to pay to recycle it at some point. Who's going to be paying then, rather than the publisher?
Good question. Do you have any idea who that would be? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't hear that online. Basically, they're saying that Peter's saying that the materials will still be collected. They're one of the highest value products in the bin that goes in. And so that would be absorbed by others, most likely then. Yeah. Director Lee?
Yes, I think I got that. In other words, the big pile of paper that I contribute actually pays for itself. But by charging the producer, you'd in effect be subsidizing other products.
Correct.
Which to me doesn't seem fair, so.
All right, Director Kroll?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, Director McMahon beat me to it, proposing that we endorse this, support this project. At one point, I think we had 3 newspapers on the Sunshine Coast, and now we've got one that I sense from time to time is struggling. We have a history of small-town newspapers in our family, and I think they're vital to the community. So anything that we can do to encourage their survival, I'm all for. So
Thank you.
Director McMahon beat me to it, but I certainly support the project.
Perfect. So there is a recommendation on the floor. I don't see any other hands up. So this is that we provide a letter of support. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, we are moving on to the next item on our agenda, Annex M. These are into our bylaws. So we have Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 310.195, 2022. There is a staff report. This is for 562 Veterans Road, consideration of first, second, and third readings with conditional adoption. And it indicates Nick Copes as the planner. Who do we have speaking to this one? Hello, Nick.
Thank you, Chair. This application is to change the subdivision district from F to D to permit a 2-lot subdivision. This application has already gone through a preliminary public consultation and APC referral, and notification in accordance with the Local Government Act has been completed. As the bylaw is consistent with the Elphinstone Official Community Plan, staff recommend waiving the public hearing and proceeding to first, second, and third reading. Adoption of the bylaw would occur after additional conditions have been met, including Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure approval and registration of a covenant.
Thank you. Directors, any questions or comments? Director McMahon.
Yeah, I am happy that this has already been through an extensive public process, and I can't think of any reason we would want to hold it up, so I'm happy to move the recommendations on page 151.
Thank you. And this is electoral area directors, 1 vote each. So that's been seconded. All those in favor? Thank you. So we'll move to the actual bylaw. This is on page 154. This is before us for first, second, and third reading. And again, voting electoral area directors, 1 vote each. So this is Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 310-195, a bylaw to amend the Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Bylaw number 310-1987. I look for someone to move first reading. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Then the Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 310-195, a bylaw to amend the Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Bylaw number 310-1987. And someone to move second reading. Moved, seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 310-195, a bylaw to amend the Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Bylaw number 310-1987, and someone to move third reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor. Thank you. Moving on to item number 15. This is Annex N. And this is SCRD Subdivision Servicing Bylaw number 320 amendments. This is why you're still here. Yes. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair Seegers. The purpose of this report is to bring forward for the board's consideration a bylaw amendment to bylaw 320 as directed as per the resolution of the July 28 board meeting. The intent of this bylaw amendment is to have the SRD board make decisions before taking over any of the larger water systems, wastewater systems. Until now, there was an automatic takeover of those systems by the SRD, and the proposed amendment is to have the SRD make a decision on each of these systems before actually taking it over. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, any questions or comments? Director McMahon?
I am delighted to move the recommendations on page 155. I'll further note that I had a chat with a director from Cowichan Valley Regional District over the summer, and she told me that they actually put a moratorium in their regional district on taking on any new sewer or water systems for several years, and then they rewrote all of their bylaws around this to create very stiff requirements for any system before they will even consider taking it on. And that may be a precedent that we would like to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation before us. Is there a seconder for the recommendation? Seconded. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So this is voting electoral area directors, 1 vote each. All those in favor? Thank you. So this is before us for first, second, third reading and adoption. So this will go into effect immediately. So the bylaw is actually pages 156 and 157. This is before us for first, second, third, and adoption. So Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 32017, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Subdivision Servicing Bylaw number 320, 1987. I'd look for someone to move first reading. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 32017, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Subdivision Servicing Bylaw number 320, 1987, and someone move second reading. Moved, seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 32017, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Subdivision Servicing Bylaw number 320, 1987, and someone to move third reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 32017, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Subdivision Servicing Bylaw number 320, 1987, and someone to move adoption. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that forward. Good news. Moving on to number 16, Annex O, pages 158 through 160. And this is the Municipal Ticket Information System Bylaw and Bylaw Notice Enforcement Bylaw Amendments. Head over to our corporate officer.
Thank you, Chair. So this staff report actually covers bylaws in number 16 and 17. They are our ticketing bylaws. This is really coming forward for an administrative correction to align section references in the ticketing bylaw with the kennel regulation bylaw.
Thank you. So the first one is the Municipal Ticket Information System, and the second one is the Bylaw Notice Enforcement. So the BENS, basically, right?
Yes.
Same, but the two different bylaws.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions from directors? So both of these are voting all directors, 1 vote each. So there are motions on page 158. Someone like to move those recommendations? Moved? Seconded? All in favor? Thank you. So we're moving to the actual bylaw. This is on page 159. This is for first, second, third reading and adoption, and it's all directors 1 vote each. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 558.11, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Municipal Ticket Information System Bylaw number 558/2006, and someone to move first reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw number 558.11, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Municipal Ticket Information System bylaw number 558/2006, and someone move second reading. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw number 558.11, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Municipal Ticket Information System bylaw number 558/2006, and for third reading. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And up for adoption, Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw number 558.11, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District Municipal Ticket Information System bylaw number 558/2006. Someone to move adoption? Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. We'll move on to Annex P. This is starting on page 161. So this is the bends for the same item. This again is voting all directors one vote each, and it's before us for first, second, third reading and adoption. So Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw number 638.12, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 638. And I look for someone to move first reading. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? None opposed, thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw number 638.12, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 638, and someone to move second reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw number 638.12, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 638, and someone to move third reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw number 638.12, a bylaw to amend Sunshine Coast Regional District bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 638, and someone to move adoption. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Next up is our director's reports. So how about if we start with Director Pratt, and then we'll start at the end of the table here with Director Hiltz and make our way down. Director Pratt, over to you.
Hear me okay, or am I going in and out again?
You're
Okay.
fine.
Perfect.
Oh, and I spoke too soon. Now all of a sudden we can't hear you.
Okay, great. I will
Oh, you're back.
stay on. Oh, I'm back. Okay, some great events have been held in Half Moon Bay over the summer. Just wanted to commend the Half Moon Bay Community Association and other volunteers who have been really working hard to put some events on, especially the Lazy Days, the music at Cooper's Green that happened a few times during the summer. Those events were really well attended, and a lot of people had a lot of fun. Coming up this Sunday, Half Moon Bay Community Association is having the second annual Seaside Shuffle. So that's on Sunday, September 11th, from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m., and it'll be at the beautiful Cooper's Green Park. The only other thing I really wanted to report is just give my thanks to staff and directors and all of the community members that came out for the public hearing on Tuesday. It was a marathon public hearing. We hit we've got over 3.5 hours. So, and it was very well attended, and which was great. So I'm looking forward to a staff report that comes out after that. And for anybody who didn't know, that was on bylaw 722. And there was a lot of really great conversations. So looking forward to having that come back before the committee and board to have more discussion. Other than that, that's about it for me. So thank you, and that's it.
Thank you. Director Hiltz.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Okay, where should I start? I'll start in August. Camp Elphinstone, which is the YMCA camp in West Howe Sound, opened. This is the first time since 2019. They had a reopening ceremony on August 17th. I was unable to attend, but they sent me just a couple of statistics, and for this summer, they had 2,300 campers in 2022, and among those were 550 youth day campers from the Sunshine Coast. So I think everyone is happy it's going again and they're back in business. Moving forward, let's see, September 1st, I'm going to leave David Kroll to talk about the UNESCO announcement, which he attended. So on September 1st was the Gambier Local Trust meeting on Gambier Island, which I attended. I attended a few, don't get to attend them, so it was an in-person meeting that they held on Gambier Island with their, their mobile Zoom package, where they bring a camera, they set it up, they do their own technical support, and they run these remote meetings, and it seemed to run quite well. I presented a brief report there, and following that was a presentation on Gambier Island OCP and what they call the LUD, the Land Use Designation Bylaw, which in our language is the zoning bylaw. So they just use it a little bit differently. It was led by their consultant. And it's just interesting to see all these planning and OCP things happening. Seashelt, Gibson, Sunshine Coast, and the Islands Trust are all going on at the same time. They had a turnout of 30 people, which is terrific for an area of the size of the Southwest Peninsula. Going forward, I just want to say thanks to Director McMahon and staff for drawing attention to the shipbreaking topic that came up in Hillside, and staff provided some backup, and that was a topic that Islands Trust people are also interested in. Moving forward, what was the Gambier? Gambier was a lot of things in September. There was a significant announcement, and a lot of thanks. It was on September 6th, and it was an announcement from the federal government, a joint announcement apparently, for $1.9 million to do the last mile for Keats and Gambier Island for high-speed internet. I was a bit surprised by the amount. And City West, who is a proponent leading that, and the Strathcona Regional District member was there. And I'm going to just say thanks to Dean McKinley, because somehow Dean worked something out through this whole system that it's happening somewhere else, but it came together. And the announcement that this will happen without direct impact on SCRD taxpayers, which was a really terrific thing. So I don't know how you did it, Dean, but everyone was very appreciative of it, and it was a great event. Darnelda was there as chair. The minister was Minister Hutchings, who is the Minister of Rural Economic Development, and our MP Patrick Weiler was there. Kate Louise Stanford, the Islands trustee. So it was a really great event, and interesting to see how the federal government moves to a remote location like Gambier Island and puts on an event. It was really quite impressive. So. That was a great announcement. The public hearing last night, marathon. Was that last night? No, 2 nights ago. Marathon. Thank you, Chair Pratt, or Director Pratt, for chairing that meeting, and Director Seegers for kind of holding us to the focus of the event. So it was a lot of good information. Yeah, we definitely heard from the community. I think over 100 participants, something like that. Where were we? Last night was the wastewater presentation, the virtual presentation, and it wasn't a huge turnout, but I would say SCRD staff did a terrific job of setting kind of baseline understanding for how the regional district works and services and sustainable services. So it will be a great video to look at in the future for understanding how these things work. What else we got? Going forward, tomorrow is Friday, September 9th, and the Gibsons and District Library Board is doing a strategic planning event, and I will be at that. That's an all-day event tomorrow. And following up, GDPL will be meeting, board meeting on Monday the 12th, and that will be an in-person meeting, so their first in-person meeting. And the last item is the West Howe Sound Community Association meeting September 3rd. The speakers will be the Sunshine Coast Bear Alliance, and that's at Eric Cardinal Hall in Shirley Macy Park, and it'll be at 7 o'clock. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Director Kroll.
Thank you, Chair. August was sort of a busy month. In July, and I think most people are aware, we lost Pat John, who played Jesse Jim in the Beachcomber series for 19 years. And Pat was you know, he was a great person to know. Of the entire Beachcombers cast, he and Bruna Gerussi were the only two that survived the entire series from its inception to its end. And I think it's significant to note that when PJ came to join the cast of the Beachcombers, he actually came out of a residential school to do so. So it was very moving service for him at the First Nations Longhouse in Sechelt, and he was interred in the cemetery there. His son came back from Ontario. It was the first time I'd seen Matt in 30 years. When he left Gibson's, he was a babe in arms. Now he's a journeyman carpenter. So it was a very moving service to attend. On the 28th of July, I went with a group of solar passion people to visit Fire Hall number 17 in Vancouver. And if anyone hasn't seen it, it's at 7070 Knight Street. And it's a zero energy fire hall. They basically don't take any energy from the grid. It's all solar, reclaimed energy. They have a backup generator, but it's an amazing facility, yours for a mere $26 million. We all want one. But the more significant fire hall on the tour was Fire Hall number 5. And it's a joint venture between the Vancouver Fire Department and the YWCA. So it's a corner lot fire hall. The first 2 floors are fire hall. The next 4 floors are affordable housing managed by the YWCA, and the top floor is actually extended care, which is, it's just an amazing facility. And it's, you know, when we look at the land that that fire halls take, it's a unique opportunity to, combine resources. City of Vancouver is working on another fire hall development with 28 floors of residential above the fire hall. Gibson's, this was the first year back that Gibson's had the night markets. I was there with search and rescue. We were doing first aid and one thing and another. We shared the space with the publicist from the Howe Sound Biosphere, which was a unique opportunity for her to meet some community members and engage with them and exchange ideas with respect to what goes on in the biosphere from different angles, not just the care of it, but also people who seek a living out of the biosphere and how people need to work collaboratively to preserve it. I was also, did the kids' summer cooking camps at the Gibson's Market. There were 5 classes. Sadly, the last one was canceled. But it was fun working with kids 7 to 11. And first one was knife skills, which was interesting. We ended up learning how to chop various things, and then they prepare a meal for their own luncheon. The second one, we incorporated knife skills, but because of the heat, we did salad rolls, and it was the same day that Patrick Weiler was in Gibson's to announce the award Gibson's won for the redevelopment of the park at Five Corners. So Mayor Beamish and Patrick Weiler came for lunch that the kids made them, and it was Vietnamese salad rolls with peanut sauce. Our next class was choux pastry, and the one after that was 100 ways to cook an egg. And so that was fun. Colton Rockford, our student on council, at our last council meeting before the August break, brought up concerns he had with travel on the coast, particularly for young people and particularly within the community. So we formed a little sort of subcommittee with a bus driver, a lady who lives on the coast who worked with Rick Hansen on accessibility and transportation in Vancouver and a lot of the stuff that she and Rick came up with is what the transportation in Vancouver has adopted as their sort of model. So we're working, just sort of brainstorming various ideas we can come up with to, whether it's through the transportation system or it's an independent enterprise to provide transit on demand. We were talking to Powell River, and there's Zonga Bus, which is now, much to their delight, back in service. They had issues with transit drivers. So that was great, a great initiative that Colton brought forward. We, in sort of conjunction with the funds we received from the government for Five Corners, there was a sort of a bit of charrette and some design options discussed. The 31st was the first International Overdose Awareness Day. Mayor Seegers and I both attended a service at Hackett Park in Sechelt, which was, I thought, very well done. Some very, it was just one of those things, we're all aware of it, but how huge the impact is on our communities. September 1st, Mayor Beamish and I went to Lions Bay for the federal announcement of the funding support for the UNESCO House on Biosphere. It was great because, well, I shouldn't say it was great. The minister was an hour and a half late arriving, but it gave everyone there an opportunity to mix and mingle. So there's some interesting things. Film on the coast is becoming an issue, and through a lady I met there, there's all sorts of green initiatives to support the film industry. Funding available for recycling, power, and one thing and another. So we're looking at getting that moving. And then Mayor Beamish and I also attended the 77th anniversary of the independence, of the celebration of the Independence Day for Indonesia. And it was at the pavilion in Stanley Park. So, what was significant, I found, and we talk about climate, is it's the first time I'd sort of, I've driven through Stanley Park on the few occasions when I've been to Vancouver, but being in the park looking out was to see the impact on the vegetation in the park, like everything is stressed to a shocking extent. So, I think, climate initiatives we need to get on board and get together on. And then on September 2nd was the last night market. All through the summer, we had music in the landing, which was a lot of people really enjoyed. So that's about it from Gibson's.
Thank you. Director McMahon.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. I spent the August break mostly trying not to think about anything to do with the SCRD. I didn't succeed, but it was well worthy of the attempt, although I did find myself standing on the peak of Mount Elphinstone having to explain about our water sourcing policy and why there aren't more pickleball carts on the Sunshine Coast. I did attend the Elphinstone Community Association barbecue on July 24th and the Ocean Beach Esplanade Neighborhood Association barbecue on August the 7th. I missed the Wood Creek Park Neighborhood Association picnic on Labor Day Sunday, but I did get to the Labor Day picnic in the park on the Monday. And I was also at the night market. So I think I'm going to leave it right there. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Howard.
Thank you. As Andreas didn't prep me at all for director's report, I'm glad you started at that end, so I had some time to reflect. I think summer has been much celebrated in Roberts Creek, late in coming, but long in staying, I think. Creek Days was a huge success. Higgledy-piggledy and music and vendors down at the pier were back, and big turnout and beautiful weather. Slow Sundays has again been up and running in the creek, and it's been great turnout, and it's earned its name because the number of people showing up there and parking basically slows everything down to a crawl right through the heart of the creek, which works well. The Roberts Creek Community Association, you may or may not be aware that they were very successful in obtaining funding to upgrade the community hall, and that's now really paying off. There's been it's booked fully through to the fall. There's been a lot of use in the hall. It looks great. They've maintained the integrity of the original design while upgrading the kitchen to a full commercial status and upgrading the bathrooms, which are now gender neutral, which is always an interesting experience. And I would just add my comments. I attended not all of, but a lot of the public hearing on Tuesday. Very strong turnout from residents of Roberts Creek, interested primarily in the provisions that relate to at-home small businesses. So I am also looking forward to receiving the staff follow-up report from that public hearing. So thanks.
Thank you. Director Lee.
Well, thank you very much for making me last, because I actually managed to scribble some notes down. I too, like Director McMahon, was trying to ignore a lot of the SCRD stuff, but they won't really let you, you know. There's multiple bylaw infractions occurring in my area, and I continue to get 1 or 2 calls every day on them. And I'd sure like to see them resolved. I know we are taking action on them, so hopefully they'll finally stop. We have a very in-your-face encampment on the side of the road, and it's worse because they continually pile junk and go out and poach wood and start splitting it up right where everybody can see it, and really a mess. But maybe something will happen. I did attend a Saginaw Lake Community Association AGM, and it was a fun thing. Nice. They have it in an open venue, and everybody appears out of nowhere in boats because it's a water access only in Saginaw, and so they all gather together in the one parking lot they have and hold an AGM outside. It was actually a lot of fun. And they have their own firefighting infrastructure because it's water only, so they're worried about it. So they have fire pumps spread all over the place, and they make sure they're all working and tested. And I don't know how effective they'd be in a fire, but it's nice to see they're trying. We had actually, I really enjoyed the Pender Harbor Show and Shine. It's held at Brent Parker's property next door to the Pender Harbor Legion. There was about 70 cars there, so some of the people off coast that are regulars come up and bring their cars, some beautiful cars. But a lot of local cars that don't bother going down to Seashell show up, and so it's an opportunity to see those that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And it was very successful, and it was the first one after the start of COVID, so it really felt good to see the events happening again, some sense of normalcy. The camping on lakeside, people pull over and camp all over BC, but for some reason, these 3 people decided that they would pull over in the favorite swimming spot of the locals and stay there for a week, basically blocking the swimming spot for the people that like to go use it regularly. Big kerfuffle. And I was having to take the role of peacemaker because, in fact, they're not breaking any law. There's nothing in the Motor Vehicle Act or the provincial land use that says you can't stay on Crown land as long as you don't stay longer than 14 days. And if they have a legal license on their car, they can pull over to the roadside and stay there. And I suspect for 14 days if they want. And so the final solution is now that trying to get Modi to put no overnight parking signs in selected spots, because it's not right to do that either, especially on a water source. You're camping for a week there, you know, and all the junk that happens with that. So I guess it's kind of, well, it's not unique to Pender. It could happen, say, on Trout Lake as well, even though I never see it. I do see semis pull over and stay overnight just to sleep, and then away they go. But I think it's a leftover from our COVID when people were doing a lot of that kind of camping, and so it's become more popular now. So I'll see if Modi does get some signs up so that the RCMP can enforce that kind of stuff. We'll see. It was kind of in your face because it was also a water pickup for the community right there where they were. And they were small, definitely using porta potties if they were using anything. So it's kind of doubtful, you know. And I must say, I attended all of that public hearing on 722 a couple evenings ago. And it was quite an eye-opener. The people had some very good points to make, I thought. But what impressed me most was it was a controversial subject, but the people there stuck to the subject. They were respectful for the most part. There was one comment that got a little offside, but before we have a chance to catch them, it was gone, and it never happened again. And it's quite a change from the other hearings earlier on during COVID where people seemed to be quite owly. These people were clear but respectful, so I was really impressed with the whole thing. So anyways, that's, and Laurie did a great job, and Darnelda did a great job keeping everybody straight. I decided that's who needs to chair these guys. So thanks a lot, and that's my report.
Thank you. All right, you guys have covered off lots of stuff that was on mine, so I'm just going to mention a few other things. As you know, I sit with Director McMahon on the Island Coastal Economic Trust Committee. I'm also on the board, and I'm also now on the Strategic Advisory Committee board, which is a subset of the executive. Island Coastal Economic Trust financially is in a position where in 2 years, if they do not get any additional funding, they will start to dissolve. All the other trusts in the province, there are 3 others that service other areas in the province, were given a larger sum of money so that they could invest the money and just spend the interest. Island Coastal Economic Trust, ICE-T we call it, was not provided with that level of funding. So they have started, we started a few months ago, approaching the Treasury Board in the province, and we are requesting $150 million in 2023 for to make it a generational pool of money that can be invested, and then we too can just spend the interest. And it will be there for generations to come. That's why I call it a generational investment. So there's some work I've been doing around that. There was a letter of support that was provided by the Sunshine Coast. Brody Guy, the new CEO for ICE-T, actually came to the Sunshine Coast here and met with the CAOs. And we also set up a meeting with the Regional Economic Development Organization, Downtown Business Association, Chambers, etc. And we did that because we wanted them to get to know who he was so that when they reach out for funding, they know who they're talking to and who they're working with. So great guy, lots of energy, lots of experience, and it seems like we're getting lots of interest from the province on that, so we'll see what happens. Sunshine Coast Festival of the Written Arts. I attended the opening night, and then the Division of Family Practice, which is the doctors on the Sunshine Coast, had invited a number of people to come to listen to Andre Picard, one of the Canadian authors. He is the health critic for or health writer, whatever, for the Globe and Mail. He also speaks on CBC. He wrote a book called Neglected No More, which is talking about care for seniors in Canada, particularly in response to what happened during COVID, but not just that. So we heard him speak, and then we all went up to the Botanical Gardens, and he came along, and we had a session up there. We had Vancouver Coastal Health in attendance, a number of different parts of Vancouver Coastal Health. We had hospice, we had some of the doctors, we had some people from community services. There were about 20 or 25 of us, I think. And so we did a, what do they call it? We did a dialogue session, and we did some breakout groups and things to look at how we on the Sunshine Coast, given the number of seniors we have on the Sunshine Coast, how we're going to deal with care for our seniors. So it was quite interesting, and there was one of the groups that is actually going to take the lead and kind of keep this moving forward. Legacy Fund. So the Sunshine Coast Community Forest Legacy Fund grants were given out. So there was an opportunity to do some pictures with them, but also for them to share what they're going to be using the money from. And, like you were talking about the Roberts Creek community hall. Community Forest has actually contributed to them, right? And I think they were one of the, they were that, actually, yes, somebody, I don't remember the fellow's name, but he was told to dress up, so he dressed up and he came to the picture. So if you see that, it was interesting. I've been working with Capilano University over the last probably 2 years around training for early childhood education staff. So in the province, there was such a need for daycare staff that staff could take one course, and they dictated it had to be one of 2 or 3 courses that they had to take, but then they could actually go to work in a daycare. And we know that on the Sunshine Coast, we're desperately short of staff to work in our daycares. District of Sechelt has actually gotten a grant to build a daycare, and we don't know who's going to staff it. So, you know, in preparation for that, I've been working with Capilano University to figure out how we can do that. They're going to have an announcement come out in the next while. Watch for that. We will potentially have staffing in place for, you know, all the various facilities on the Sunshine Coast. What else? Labor Day picnic's been mentioned, Gambier Island funding, the zoning bylaw. What else have we got? In the District of Sechelt, last night we talked about our short-term rental bylaw, and we've directed staff to come back with the bylaw on that. We will have 3 categories of short-term rentals. Those that are, 2 of them that are owner-hosted, like owner-occupied and hosted primary residences, and then 1 that is unhosted. And of those, we're limiting to 15 in the District of Sechelt. That's the plan at this point. So information will come forward for that. Our zoning bylaw is, we have another public hearing tonight. This is for the District of Sechelt zoning bylaw. Then, what's happened over the summer? Bathtub races. Sorry, I keep putting this paper up here. Bathtub races. So they took place in Davis Bay. Great turnout, lots of fun by all. Sandcastle competition. There was the artisan fair in the park. The stage and the amphitheater got a lot of use. It was really good. And Minister Eby actually came to the Sunshine Coast. He's doing a tour through the province to put forward that he wants to be the candidate as premier for the NDP. So I was invited to a meeting with him. One of the questions that I asked him, I think it was the last question, I asked him, given that the issues that we're dealing with today, we're dealing with homeless, mental health, and substance use, which also deals with the health ministry, also deals with municipal affairs. How do we deal with all of these problems when all of these ministries have to be involved in a solution? And he said, well, we've started by having the deputy ministers and assistant deputy ministers and staff meeting. He said, I think the next piece we need to add is we need to have somebody in the premier's office who's responsible to make sure that they have outcomes. So it's nice to see that he's actually considering that and recognizing that it's not working the way it is right now, and that we need to come up with some way to deal with all of these. As you have been doing, as I've been doing, we've been meeting with candidates, potential candidates for this board, for councils. And I think it looks like in the last couple of days, we've had a lot of candidates come forward. There's more to come tomorrow. Deadline is 4 o'clock tomorrow. So if anybody is looking to put their name forward, that's by when you have to do it. And then one final thing I want to mention is UBCM, Union of BC Municipality Conference, is next week. That'll be in Whistler. The municipalities and the regional districts have people going to those meetings. That's where we come together and put forward our agendas for the province. We've also set up meetings with ministers and with ministerial staff. So we'll be doing that next week. I think that's all. Is there anything that anybody missed mentioning? All right, if not, we are going to go in camera. So I would look for a resolution that the public be excluded from attendance in accordance with section 91 A, F, G, I, and K of the Community Charter. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. All right, and we have a few people in the gallery here. Yes, and you'd like a motion to have Christine Alexander
Yes.
stay in the meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Yes, we're gonna do questions now. Questions now, and then, so there's a microphone right over there. Please come forward and ask your question.
Hi, my name's Anne Nicholson, and actually my question doesn't have anything to do with what was on your agenda. I live in the strata at 1025 North Road, and which has two bridges on SCRD property. We have an easement. And so in light of the fact that your bylaw officers hand-delivered lawyers' letters to all of us saying that our bridge had to be replaced by the spring, but it's still not replaced. But also, what has made it particularly urgent for us is that my husband has had 2 strokes recently, and we can't get an ambulance or anything up to our property, actually. No ambulance, fire trucks, no, you can't get an electrician or anybody because of the bridge is dangerous to cross. And anyway, so our question is, this is, I did come in and speak to somebody and inform them that my husband, was unable to get an ambulance, and he said that we would probably get permission to rebuild the bridge in 2 weeks, but it's way past 2 weeks now. So my question is, just when can we? We've got everything in now, and it's been accepted, but we still are not getting this date. We need this date.
Okay, I'm going to refer you to our CAO. And I think he's probably going to have to talk with staff.
Okay.
Okay, but our CAO is Dean McKinley, right here on the
Yes,
end.
hi there.
Hi.
As this would be an ongoing operational issue and potentially even an ongoing bylaw investigation issue, A, there's nothing I could say about it, and B, I don't have intimate enough knowledge about this operational matter, but I can refer it to staff and get an answer for you.
Okay.
Okay, and perhaps you could make sure he has your contact information.
Oh, all right.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you for waiting through the meeting,
Thanks.
and we'll look to see what we can do. Thank you. All right, so we actually had a recommendation on the floor that Christine Anderson, thank you, stay in the meeting, in the closed meeting. Sorry? Did I say that? Oh, did I? Okay, sorry. I meant Alexander. All those in favor? Thank you. All right, and then we need to change the things on the doors? All right, thank you. And Lori will need to secure her space.
Is that the old Delphi property? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Thank you, and welcome back to the board meeting of September 8th. Lost track of the dates. And I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.